Hi there, and welcome to another presentation. This presentation is specific to loss of appetite. Hi, my name is Amber Thomas. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, a board-certified specialist in oncology nutrition, and an online nutrition coach. So today I want to help give you some strategies on how to eat when you don't feel like eating. What do you do when the least thing that sounds good is food? You know that eating and drinking is important to tolerating your treatment, but when it's so hard to do, what do you do? So I want to give you some tips and some tricks and some hints that may help you a little bit more nourish your body during treatment. So the first things we're going to talk about are some helpful food and strategies that you can use in order to eat a little bit more and drink a little bit more. So the very first tip we want to talk about is to eat smaller, more frequent meals. So trying smaller meals and eating them more often. Typically, we recommend somewhere between 4 to 6 mini meals a day, and they tend to be about 2 to 3 hours apart, somewhere in that range. And it also depends on your sleep schedule, how much time in the day you have to eat. But at minimum, we want at least 4 mini meals. These mini meals should be as packed full as calories and protein as they can. We want the biggest bang for our buck as far as what smaller portions of food with large amounts of calories. When you don't feel like eating, you don't feel like eating a lot. So the types of foods you can choose right now are pretty important for that. Also, when you don't feel like eating, it's really hard and not really advised to rely on hunger cues. You know, having that appetite where, oh, I think I'm feeling hungry, let's eat something. When you don't have an appetite, you may not really have that signal. So setting timers, planning for your meal times will be very helpful. And also, we want to use the space in your stomach for calorie-dense, protein-dense foods. So when you're eating, having a big glass of water or something like that along with your meal can actually take up some of that space in your stomach that we need to reserve for those high-calorie foods. So it can be very helpful to put your beverages, especially those low-calorie or no-calorie beverages, between your meals. So those kind of things include like water, broth, juices, things like that. Now, remember though, when we concentrate calories, we can actually use other types of foods too. So it doesn't have to be just food. It can also be high-calorie fluids. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. So what I first want to talk about is the ways that we can add some of those high concentrated calorie sources to the foods that you already may be eating. So we just want to fortify the foods. Some of the ideas are fatty types of foods. So fat has double the amount of calories per gram that both carbohydrates and protein have. So that's why we use a lot of the fat to help you get more calories in to help you keep strong. So ideas with this are oils, nut butters. So like going back to the oils, we could add mild tasting oils to different foods. So not necessarily like, you know, pouring olive oil into your broth. That doesn't work very well. It doesn't. But let's say you were to have some mashed potatoes or sweet potato mashed potatoes, even blended savory soups. That'd be an easy way to add a little bit of extra calories. Nut butters are also very helpful. They can be a little bit hard to eat on their own because they're just so sticky and can feel almost drying in the mouth on their own. But if you like smoothies or shakes, adding a spoonful or two of a nut butter in there, so peanut butter, cashew butter, almond butter, walnut butter, whatever nut that you can find in a ground up form can be helpful. Full fat dairy is also a great way to go. So this would be anything from full fat milk. You know, if you're making oatmeal, make sure that you add a full fat dairy source as a liquid as opposed to the water. If to make it creamier, you can add more of that cream, half and half, even just whole milk. That can help. Also consider ice creams, the nice, rich, premium sort of ice creams. Those are good to use right now. Other kinds of plants, avocado is a good source, and it tends to go down pretty easy. We can also change the way that we eat it. So, avocado slices, great, but we can also make mashed up avocado to put on toast, to add with our eggs, things like that. Custards and puddings also work very well, and we can fortify those even further with more calories. So changing it from maybe 2% milk for your pudding to a whole milk or half and half to add those calories that you need right now. Protein is something that you will need to focus on and include every meal that you consume. So I've listed some ideas of good protein foods that can be helpful, easy to get down, and things that you can add to your everyday meals. So a lot of them are the common foods that we typically eat, the cheese, the eggs, the dairy, but at the end you'll see protein powder. Sometimes meats, they aren't appealing. They might not taste good, they're harder to chew at certain points. There's can be some limitations to meats based on your preference and the type of treatment you have and some of the other side effects you may have. So protein powder can be helpful. I usually recommend whey protein powder just because there's a decent amount of studies for keeping muscle mass intact. So helping your muscles stay strong during treatment, whey seems to be the way to go. Now, if you want to use more of a vegan, so a plant-based, I've had pretty good luck with a pea protein or brown rice proteins. But when you look for a protein powder, keep in mind there are plain protein powders out there. They aren't that easy to find in a general grocery store, my experience, but there are definitely some manufacturers who make plain protein. It's just more versatile. So if you think, you just want sweet shakes and smoothies and getting a vanilla or a chocolate protein powder, that'd work. But let's say we want to fortify something savory. You're probably not going to want to have, a chocolate and roasted veggie pureed soup. Doesn't sound very good to me. I don't know about you, but look for the plain versions. And then again, when you're really struggling to eat, sometimes the act of eating is just too hard. It takes too long. So you can consider using high calorie, high protein liquids as part of your mini meals. So there's a lot of good options out there, things that you can make yourself. Fruit-based smoothies, we want to make sure that they have a lot of calories from the base of the smoothie. So a full fat milk, half and half ice cream, something like that. Adding some nut butters can definitely help. You can add avocado and things like that to some of those drinks. But keep in mind, bananas and avocado tend to really thicken drinks. So either use less of that or be prepared to increase the fluid amounts. Unless you just want to eat it with a spoon, then that's an option too. So milkshakes, yes, absolutely. Whatever flavor, ice cream, you can add fruit to that, but usually the milkshakes are pretty strongly dairy-based and add a lot of calories and protein with that regard. You can also do those ready-to-drink nutrition supplements like Boost, Ensure. There's other drinks out there now that have different nutrient profiles, so it really depends on what you want. But there are options pretty much for everyone out there. So again, with these kind of drinks, I want to put a little message in about calorie and protein requirements. If you have a dietitian on your cancer team, it would be the best place to go to get kind of an idea, some guidelines about how many calories and how much protein you should be eating during your treatment. Personally, and in my coaching with my clients, I don't like to rely on calories and protein generally. But when your appetite isn't good and you're really struggling to eat, sometimes it can be helpful to have those kind of guidelines just to see how much food it will take to get you to where your body is going to be in its best nourished place. So keep that in mind. It's a very customized sort of thing. So, no one size fits all for calories and protein. We do a lot of factors. We do a lot of calculations based on current weight, any past weight loss, the type of treatment you have, the type of cancer you have, how active you are. There's a lot of things that go into those numbers. So keep that in mind. I want to talk to you a little bit about the non-food-based strategies. So this is where I want you to talk to your medical team. Appetite stimulants can be helpful for some, and there are a lot of different types of appetite stimulants out there. So talk with your team to see if it makes sense to add something like that on board. Sometimes it doesn't if you have some other side effects that are causing your loss of appetite. So let's say your treatment is causing horrible taste changes, soreness in your mouth and throat. That's not really a loss of appetite as far as, how you feel in your body. That is pain, usually, and other things that are going on in your body that can also be addressed first or in combination with these strategies. So keep that in mind. But again, appetite stimulants may help. And then just finding some physical activity, some kind of activity that you enjoy and that kind of meets you where your energy is at, may help a little bit with your appetite. So a couple of things extra to try there. Note about your food choices. So I want you to know that, especially with the loss of appetite, we want you to eat. And a lot of the high calorie, high protein foods that provide the most calories in the smallest serving are foods that tend to be off limits or not allowed on more of these strict kind of diet plans that I hear about. I would like to have you consider relaxing those restrictions right now to allow for more food choices, allow you to better nourish your body right now. The more variety and more options you have, the better you can pick and choose on a day-to-day basis, a meal-to-meal basis on what you think you can eat. And when you don't have an appetite, and we're not really relying on your hunger signals, food is a form of self-care. So nourishment is part of your therapy picture as far as going through treatment and doing the things to support your body. So eating is incredibly important. That's why scheduling your meals can be very, very important in this phase of the game. So I hope that information was helpful. We'll talk to you soon. If you would like to learn more about my nutrition coaching programs, visit my website at www.cancernutritionsolutions.com. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.